237-2888.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala.
All right, thank you for tuning in. A couple of technical difficulties. It probably didn't affect anything you heard on the air, but it's certainly affecting us here in the studio, and I think we've got them cleared up. I hope we have anyway. Our next guest is a guest I've been looking forward to speaking to for a few different reasons. He's got an interesting topic, but because he's also a police officer, I can relate to it a little bit. Not that I've been one, but my dad was a police officer for many years, as well as my brother and some others in my family. Randy L Sutton is a 30-year police veteran, retired from the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. He was awarded the Medal of Valor, and he's been an actor, and he's been on Casino, Miss Congeniality, and numerous episodes of the TV show Cops, and he's written a book called A Cop's Life, True Stories from the Heart Behind the Badge. In addition to the book, we are speaking about the Policing with Honor seminar. We're going to find out what that is, and this disturbing piece of information, that police suicide rates are actually higher than the number of police officers killed in the line of duty by the bad guys. And that's pretty disturbing right there. Randy L. Sutton, I hope you can hear me, and I hope we can hear you, considering our problems early. Good morning, Randy.
Good morning. Good morning. Yes, I hear you just fine. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for being on the air. Are you in Las Vegas right now?
I am indeed.
All right. Well, thank you for being on the air with us today. Yeah, my dad was a police officer. He worked in New York City. And so, I can remember when he retired. I'm going to go to that part of his story. Everybody who knew my dad after he retired said, "Boy, you are so much more mellow now." Did you have that same experience that while you're a police officer, you are constantly under stress, and maybe that's part of the reason why we had that suicide story?
As a matter of fact, yeah. I actually spent 34 years as a cop. My first 10 years were on the East Coast, in a little town called Princeton, New Jersey. And then I spent the last 24 with the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. Okay. And yeah, there is you actually don't even know how much stress you're under until it's no longer there, and it's an adjustment period for a lot of people. But yeah, there's a tremendous amount, and it does lead to a lot of issues. Did you transfer to Las Vegas because you thought it'd be less stressful? No, actually, I was bored. I wanted more action. Oh, and, remember the old adage: "Be careful what you wish for; you just might get it." Yeah, right. And I certainly did. So, would the kind of stories that we would hear from a police officer in Las Vegas be drastically different than they would from, was it Princeton, New Jersey? Yeah, actually, the stories are the same. You would hear the same stories. You could just put different locations on them, because the same stories from cops pretty much they all run the same gamut. It's you can just put a different location on them, and then the frequency with which those stories take place in a more urban area, you're gonna get a lot more action, and so you're gonna see a lot more coming at you. It's just that. But policing is policing all over the world, actually. You know, because of being my father's son and being a spokesperson in a way by doing a radio show, I try to make a point to honor, at least verbally honor, the work that is done by our police officers as well as firefighters, all first responders, really. And there is one, a two-word phrase my dad would use. It's a thankless job. I remember those two words, thankless job. I thought, well, that's not good. You don't want to you want people to thank you for what you're doing. And then of course, during the 60s, when you would hear the word like pig and, my goodness, all the other words, the bad words that were used to describe police officers, it was disheartening to think that the people who are out there to protect us are actually being slammed. Well, the times have changed. There is I think a greater respect for law enforcement since the events of the Twin Towers. Yeah. To tell you the truth, I saw a change in the way we were viewed then. In fact, that was my first book that I published right after the Trade Center attacks. I wrote a book called True Blue: Police Stories by Those Who Have Lived Them, and they were my stories and stories that I gathered from police officers from all over the nation. In order to, I donated all the royalties to the Widows and Orphans Fund for the officers who were killed in 9/11, which was the deadliest day for law enforcement in the history of the United States.
Yeah. And I'm guessing in the years that you served as a police officer, you did a lot of arrests.
Oh, yes.
Yes, okay.
Lots.
So I wanted to ask you something about that. Is there any way, with experience that you can look at somebody you're about to arrest and know what kind of maybe a dialogue that you'll be having with that person in the back of the car? Like, are they like, can you look at a person and say, well, this is a 16-year-old, he's going to be argumentative. This is a woman, she's going to be sweet. I mean, can you tell by looking? Is there anything? I'm guessing that the intuition that a police officer develops has got to be more keen than it would be for some of the rest of us.
Intuition or gut feeling, however you want to call it, is very, very important. Especially in saving your own life. I've had occasions where there were no outward signs of somebody being combative, but there was that gut feeling that there was danger.
Oh, really?
Danger, Will Robinson. You know, and you must listen to that inner voice. It saved my life on more than one occasion.
Really? So you have somebody in custody and they're acting sweet, and you just have a gut feeling this guy's going to lash out?
Well, I can give you the best example that I can give you is an incident that occurred when I was a patrol officer here in Las Vegas. We'd had a series of unsolved serial killings where they were just random murders. People were, for no particular reason, shot to death in various parts of the city, and there was no pattern to it, and those are the most difficult kind of murders to solve because there was no connection with any of the victims. And my partner and I answered a noise complaint at an apartment, and it was just another noise complaint. We probably handled 6 or 7 a night, and we knocked on the door, and the guy answers the door, and the stereo's loud, and there's 4 or 5 people sitting around inside, and one guy focused on me as we walked into the room, and he's sitting in an overstuffed lounge chair, and it was the first time in my life I had ever truly felt the presence of evil, for lack of a better term, and my gut instincts took over, and my partner thought I was nuts. And I drew my weapon and I pointed it at the guy, and I told him to get on the ground, put his hands behind his back, and then told my partner to handcuff him. My partner's looking at me like I'm crazy, as is everybody else in the room.
Wow.
I told him to look under the mat, under the cushion, and there was a gun.
Oh, wow!
It turned out that was the serial killer, and he told us when we took him outside. He said, "I don't know how you knew it, but I was going to kill you."
That's awesome! Wow, you got a guardian angel or something with you.
Oh, I've had a guardian angel on my shoulder many times during my career.
Do you know what I'm thinking as I'm listening to the story and knowing that you've worked with the TV shows? That if a TV writer was going to fictionalize a story like that, the producers would go, "Come on, that would never happen," right?
You know, you're right, and in many cases, truth is stranger than fiction in law enforcement. And I mean, if people want to read my book, A Cop's Life, it's got some very, very impacting stories that really talk about what it's really truly like to be a cop. Much less, it's not really written for entertainment purposes as it is for showing the realities.
Right.
In fact, there's police academies that are using my book as a tool before they're get through the academy, so that they know what the reality of police work is going to be like.
Right.
Because it can really have a tremendous effect on you.
I want to ask you something. It's gonna seem unconnected, but I'll connect it. We had a discussion once about things that are bad etiquette in a restaurant, and one of the things that is bad etiquette in a restaurant, and right now it seems disconnected with what we're talking about, but the one thing that is bad etiquette is to ask a waiter, what do you really want to do with your life? Because sometimes a waiter really wants to be a waiter. And so it's offensive to presume that because he's a waiter that he wants to do something else. And by the same token, I've often thought, and I hope there's nobody going to be offended by this, see, we broadcast from a mall. And in fact, every place we've ever broadcast from, there's always been a security guard. Security guards and neighborhood watch guys, those kind of law enforcement, you don't want to say, did you ever want to be a real police officer? Because they really are doing police type work, but they really haven't crossed that line into the realm you're talking about. They've either chosen not to, or maybe weren't able to for one reason or another. But do you see a lot of that policeman wannabe-ism on the other side of the line that's not quite the police officer, if you know what I mean? And does that sometimes cause a problem for real police officers?
Well, I don't know if you're aware of the statistic, but it's actually more difficult to get into police work than it is to get into medical school. The odds are about 1 in 5,000 people can actually.
Is that right?
Out of the application process, actually become a police officer.
I did not know that. No.
It's for instance, I took several police tests before I got hired initially in Princeton, and most guys that get on the job, it's a process. They don't get on the first time, and you really have to show a willingness and a preparation to get hired, because it's a very wow. There's a lot of talent out there, and there's very few job openings.
And once you've crossed that line, it's not smooth sailing. I mean, you're constantly under training, and it's because of that I wonder about. And please, everybody who's a security guard, I love what you do, and the neighborhood watch guys, I have no problem with you. But I'm wondering if police sometimes do, because you have gone through the training, you have done everything you need to do, not only to get there, but to maintain your place there. I'm guessing. Well, hold on. What's the George Zimmerman story was a big one, wasn't it? I mean, I have no idea if.
But you see, we don't view people that work security as they're doing a very, very important job, and we look to people that work security for help. I mean, very often
right.
we get it's two separate kind of jobs. There's law enforcement, which oh my God, excuse me, which is investigative in nature, and it has its own set of parameters. Security work is a different kind of job, and we don't. We certainly don't look down upon anybody that's doing security or neighborhood watch. In fact, just the opposite.
Okay, well, and
we encourage people to take on those roles.
I think the Zimmerman case kind of made us all wonder if sometimes the neighborhood watch guys might cross the line when they shouldn't, and maybe that's what I was wondering about. Without people that are interested enough to get involved in their neighborhoods calling us, we would have no idea what's going on. So, I'm a strong advocate of neighborhood watch, because if your neighbors don't watch out for you, who's going to? Police work is reactive in nature. There you go.
So we respond to and investigate things based on what people see.
Randy L Sutton is our guest, and we are talking about police work. He knows about it. He's been doing it for his life. It's his career. He's written a couple of books. One is called A Cop's Life. I think that's the newer of the two. The other book, and it is called True Blue, Police Stories by Those Who Have Lived Them. Not only has Randy done police work, but he's also worked in TV shows that feature police officers, like the TV show Cops. Was that kind of fun? Was that an aside for you? And did it give you the acting bug at all?
Well, actually, what happened was I was featured on so many episodes of the TV show Cops that when they were filming the movie Casino here, which of course is based on the true story about some mobsters here in Vegas, a casting agent had seen me on the show and contacted me to tell me that Martin Scorsese wanted realism in this movie. And would I come down and audition? So I said, sure, I'd be happy to. I walk into the room, and there's Robert De Niro and Martin Scorsese standing there, and we wound up just shooting the breeze. I told them a few stories about policing, and they cast me for that particular part.
That's cool. You must, wow. You must have gone home, and I'm assuming you're married, or did you tell whoever your significant other people? Wow, I got a part in a movie.
Yeah, it was very fun. I mean, and it was a great experience. The Robert De Niro is a very funny guy. You wouldn't know it, but he really is. And that the cast, everybody was professional. It was very fun to do. And then I wound up getting a part in the movie Miss Congeniality Part 2 with Sandra Bullock, and also a movie with Salma Hayek. And Matthew Perry, and then a couple other things. I've been doing some acting, since I got that part.
Wow! And now, do you think the movie people or the TV people will look to your book to possibly get some storyline ideas?
I've been actually in negotiations a couple different times about making my book into a series. But one thing I have to be completely honest with you is that the Hollywood set. The only way that you could tell that they're lying is that their mouths are moving. I've never seen people that I can't even the word bull is
really
is very much part of their vernacular.
So you got to be. So let me see if I can read between the lines. So some of the stories we may end up seeing, but you won't be compensated or credited.
No, it's not so much that. Is that there's a lot of big talk, and a lot of less doing.
Oh, okay. Name dropping.
It's a subculture.
I'm enjoying this conversation. I'll be honest. Let's see. A Cop's Life. You know what? I want you to kind of give us a little bit more information on the Policing with Honor seminar. What is that? Where is that? What is that?
Well, when I was one of the jobs that I had with Las Vegas Metro, and Las Vegas Metro is the 9th largest police department in the country, and it's a combined. It was the City of Las Vegas Police Department combined with the Clark County Sheriff's Department in the 70s. So it formed this large agency. And one of the jobs that I had, I was in charge of advanced training for the department. And I wrote, and because I'm a writer, I wrote an article which was published in all the national police magazines called Policing with Honor. And it was about ethics and integrity in law enforcement and surviving your career ethically as well as physically. And it touched a chord with a lot of police agencies and police groups, and I got calls to come speak about it. So I put a full course together, and I taught it around the country to thousands of law enforcement officers. And,
oh wow!
And really, it's been a very something I'm very proud of, and as far as my career goes, that's one of the major achievements as far as I'm concerned. When
the city of Las Vegas decided to have a campaign for their city that said what you do in Vegas stays in Vegas, did that cause you guys problems? I mean,
no,
it was almost like an invitation. It was almost like an invitation. Come out here and do the stuff that you won't get away with in your city. It was
you know what? That's what Vegas is all about. We've people come here to participate in the mystique of Las Vegas,
Right.
and is some of it just tourist trap stuff? Of course it is, but there's it's a 24-hour town. There's drinking all day long and all night long. We have as many drunk drivers in the daytime as we
I
do
bet
at night.
you do. Yeah.
People come here to party it up, and as long as they stay somewhat in line, they generally don't run afoul of us. But when they do get out of line, then they face the wrath of law enforcement.
Okay, now I don't understand the prostitution laws completely, but the way I understand them is it's illegal in the city, and then there are other places where it is legal. Does that cause a problem for you guys?
Oh well, it's very, very confusing, and no one. Here's the reality: prostitution is illegal within Clark County. And the city of Las Vegas is in Clark County. The way the laws are written is prostitution is legal in counties of less than 50,000. So they have brothels in the rural counties, the closest one being about 90 miles outside of Las Vegas. So in the brothels, prostitution is legal. And it's regulated, and it's taxed, and the brothels are just as much a part of the environment as the corner store. Prostitution, while allegedly being illegal in Las Vegas, and we have a very active vice. Well, I have to say that because there's such a morality issue involved here. The first thing you'll see after you get off your flight to Las Vegas and you're driving down the Strip is a huge billboard that advertises girls direct to your room 24/7. Now, we say that it's illegal. Those are entertainers, not prostitutes, according to the laws here.
Gotcha.
And if you look in the yellow pages of the phone book, under entertainers, there's almost it's the thickest part of the phone book next to lawyers. Now, I don't know exactly what the correlation is, but I'm sure there is one in some symbolic way.
Oh, that's good.
So prostitution is readily available, and it's part of the landscape here in Las Vegas. There's no doubt about it.
And real quick story, I remember my dad telling me about the prostitution stores in New York. They had a vehicle called the Paddy Wagon. I don't know if that was a New York thing or everybody uses it, but it was. I guess you picked up people off the streets and brought them to jail. He said they would often just drive to another neighborhood and let them go. The prostitutes, that is, because the judge would just let them go anyway. It would be a waste of taxpayer money.
That was old style. That was old style policing. In fact, there's a famous story here. There was a time in the late 60s, early 70s when streetwalkers were damaging the reputation of the Las Vegas Strip because there were so many of them that they were so bold and brazen that they would jump right in the car with guys with their wives there and solicit them.
Oh,
so that was starting to affect the tourism.
Yeah, I guess it would.
And the sheriff at the time won his election based on his vow to get rid of the street prostitutes. And remember, this is in the old days. You couldn't possibly get away with it these days. He had school buses being driven by cops go down the Strip, and they would just haul in the streetwalkers, load them on the buses, and take them out to the county line, which is out near the desert, and drop them off. And that was a very famous story that happened here in Vegas.
Wow.
Now, that would be called kidnapping now. But in those days, it was the Wild West, and those things took place.
Wow. Well, I regret to have to tell you we need to wrap it up because the clock ran out. But boy, what a great interview. Randy L Sutton, our guest, the book A Cop's Life. Let's get some websites so people can get the book.
It's www.thelegacychallenge.com. thelegacychallenge.com is my website, and they can get books on that and also find out what's happening with the projects I'm working on.
Okay, thelegacychallenge.com. Excellent. And I'm guessing the book is also, is it an ebook?
It is ebook, Amazon, Amazon.com. You can get it pretty much online.
Probably everywhere, I guess.
Or get it through the link on my website.
Okay, look for A Cop's Life, Randy L. Sutton. Thank you so much, Randy. Fun interview.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. We'll take a little break. Be right back.
Universal Soil Solutions, steps to solving the sinkhole process. Step 1, be skeptical.
I had interviewed about 6 companies before I chose Universal Soil Solutions. Besides being skeptical and asking a ton of questions and educating myself, I popped in at the office.
Step 2,